Have you ever started playing a game and within the first couple of minutes you've already thought to yourself, oh shit, this is gonna be a good game? Or have thought, this seems pretty fucking questionable. From the moment you boot up a game and are actively participating, you're engaging with the game's first-time user experience, or the FTUE for short. A game's FTUE is so crucial because it sets the player's expectations for most of the experience. The purpose of the game's FTUE is to ease a player into the game's world, give them a taste of what they'll experience through the core gameplay, introduce them to systems and mechanics, and gradually set the player free to learn, explore, interact, and play within the game's boundaries. A good FTUE will do this while getting its hooks into the player. These hooks are like spices that you're going to throw into the game's stew. Add a little bit of surprise and delight, also known as an oh shit moment. Mix in a little power fantasy to make you feel like you're just the biggest thing since sliced bread. And a pinch of systems introductions to get you thinking about your playstyle. And maybe some paprika too, because you want that shit tasting good. All of these come together to form a crucial introduction to the game that could potentially make or break the experience for a player. Let's look at some examples. Forza Horizon 4, which released in fall of 2018, has a tried and true first-time user experience that has been tested and evolved across its multiple iterations. Anyone that's stuck with the series is probably aware of the process in place here. Main menu, intro cutscene, racing, next steps, open world. What gets varied and adjusted is how fast the game gets you to the core gameplay. Forza Horizon 4 gets the player racing within minutes of booting up the game. The magical part of this first-time user experience is how it presents information to the player while making them feel adept and competent right off the bat. Forza Horizon 4's intro is a strong example of surprise and delight, power fantasy, and systems introductions, like I mentioned earlier. 1. The game gets you to gameplay within minutes of booting it up. 2. The game puts you in an insanely powerful vehicle right at the start. 3. The rubber banding on the AI is set to be easy enough for the player to feel like they stand a good chance of winning, but the rubber banding here is also designed to have close finishes. This creates an illusion and masks the game's difficulty in order to make the player feel like they have to put in some effort, but they're rewarded for doing so. 4. The game introduces the player to its systems, like weather, different cars, different events, and then provides the player with character customization options and their next steps. 5. Finally, after completing these next steps, the player unlocks more new things and is free to explore at their own pace in the open world. The introduction here serves as a tutorial, but not all first-time user experiences contain a tutorial. A tutorial can be a part of the FTUE, but the FTUE is not the tutorial. The main difference is that an FTUE can last longer than the tutorial, or may never outright tell a player how to play the game. Let's look at a couple examples. World 1-1 in Super Mario Bros. Gets the player going right away and teaches you through playing. No tutorial. Mega Man X is another example of a game with a solid first-time user experience, but again, no tutorial. In a more recent example, Marvel's Spider-Man for the PS4 gets you swinging within the first couple of minutes. You know, the thing you want to do. And then it introduces its systems, power fantasy, and yada 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 yada. You get it by now. But what about bad first-time user experiences? I mean, you can look at bad games like Sonic 06, where the whole point is to play as the fast character and go fast, but the game has you starting off in a town talking to people. You sit through multiple loading screens, and then you have to do side missions before you even engage with the core gameplay. And then the core gameplay feels like doo-doo caca. But there are also big successful games that don't get it right either. For as much as I love Metal Gear Solid 5, the intro is not representative of the core gameplay, and it's such an extended scene that it easily loses players during the course of the introduction. If anything, Metal Gear Solid 5's first-time user experience was split off and called Ground Zeroes. Ground Zeroes has a much better introductory experience, and Phantom Pain suffers without it. Shadow of the Tomb Raider is another example of a bad first-time user experience, because it's not indicative of the full experience. In the game's first 15 minutes, all the player does is move Lara out of a crawl space, climb a wall, and slowly walk around. This features none of the exploration, none of the combat, none of the puzzle solving, all the while controls being snatched away from the player for cutscenes or scripted events. A first-time user experience is important to a game. Lowering the barrier to entry, making the game world approachable, controlling your character, and having fun with what you're doing is all part of this. A good FTUE is subtle, a bad one is blatant, and not all user experiences are the same. Some people might be turned off by the way Forza Horizon 4 feels. Some might love the cinematic introductions to Tomb Raider and Metal Gear Solid 5, and that's great. All the game can do is try its best to introduce you to what's in store. Because at the end of the day, the game just wants to be played.